Hi, this is Kevin for Passion for the Word. We're going to continue on our Sermon on the Mount. We're getting really close to the end of chapter 5. We're going to cover verses 38 through 42. Ye have heard that it hath been said, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. But I say unto you, and remember this is Jesus talking, but I say unto you that ye resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite thee on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. And if any man will sue thee at the law, and take away thy coat, let him have thy cloak also. And whosoever shall compel thee to go a mile, go with him twain. Give to him that asketh thee, and from him that would borrow of thee, turn not thee away. Now these are some tough rules here, some tough things to do that Jesus says, because our nature is when someone hits us, we want to hit back. No one said the Christian walk is easy. There are three aspects to this passage. Verse 39. But I say unto thee, well, first of all, let's back up. Verse 38, you have heard it said, an eye for an eye or tooth for a tooth. Now that is Old Testament, but that's not a command of what you have to do. That was a command to limit how far you could go. That was if somebody lost an eye, taking their life was too far. It was the extreme. It didn't mean you had to do that. It meant that's the farthest you could do it. So Jesus is saying, but I say unto you, in verse 39, that you resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also. This is bodily injury. It's an insult. It hurts. We're not talking serious damage. We're not talking cutting off a leg here and like that, but just a slap. In the culture of that time, and even today, if someone walks up and slaps you, in a lot of ways, it's more of an insult than a pain. And as a Christian, we shouldn't retaliate. Matthew Henry points out, basically, it's only a fight if you strike back. Forgive instead of fight. That's essentially what Jesus is teaching here. So we go into verse 40. And if any man will sue thee at the law and take away thy coat, let him have thy cloak also. Now this is material attacks, theft, or if someone sues you, better let it go. If it's not a major thing, I mean, we're not talking about taking your house, but if it's a coat or something like that, chances are it's going to cost you more to fight it anyway. He's saying, just if they're going to do that, just let them have it. Don't fight. Here again, it's not human nature. And in the flesh, you're not going to be able to do these things. It would be extremely difficult, if not impossible. This is where you're going to have to pray and ask God for strength on it. Verse 41 is where it says, and whosoever shall compel thee to go a mile, go with them twain, which is King James for go twice as far. This is an attack on our liberty, them forcing us to do things. The phrase go the extra mile actually derives its origin from this verse. Again, it's about being forgiving. Don't look for an excuse to be offended. Just don't fight evil with evil. We're called to do different. The last verse, which is always put under, in every Bible I've seen, it's under the heading of vengeance. I think it's just because rather than give it its own phrase, it really fits on its own. It doesn't fit with vengeance, but all the Bibles that group things together under headings group it there. So I'm going to cover it here. Give to him that asketh thee, and from him that would borrow thee, turn not thee away. We should be helpful and charitable if we can. It's one of the biggest blessings of having wealth is the ability to bless others. It's not about, if God's blessing you with finances, it's not so you can buy a bigger boat and a second house and all these extravagant things. Doesn't mean that you can't live nice. But if God's blessing you with wealth, it's so you can be a blessing to others. That's the main reason for, and it's the biggest blessing for you to do that. That doesn't mean to be an enabler. There's a time you have to use discernment. There's a time where giving somebody money actually harms them more. A drug addict, an alcoholic. If you're going to help them, you're going to have to help them in a specific way. giving them money so they can just go do more drugs or more alcohol doesn't help them anyway. But that's that heading. We're going to cut that one short. Sermon on the Mount study. This will be verses 43 to 48. And as always, I'll read through them first, and then we'll come back over them a little bit. This one's pretty straightforward. It's about love. And remember, of course, this is Jesus speaking. Ye have heard that it hath been said, Thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemy, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you, that they may be the children of your Father which is in heaven. For he maketh his sun, S-U-N in this version, he maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain on the just and on the unjust. For if ye love them which love you, what reward have ye? Do not even the publicans do the same? And if ye salute your brethren only, what do you do more than others? Do not even the publicans so? Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. Now, the Bible didn't teach hate your enemies. That's something the Pharisees taught. It's not biblical. It was a twisting of Proverbs, a verse in Proverbs 25. This passage emphasizes the fact that all people are created by God. And if you want to be considered a child of God, which is in heaven, that you are to do this. You are to love everyone. You're to love your enemies. And yeah, as a Christian, you will have enemies. If you have no enemies, you're loving the world too much. A Christian will have enemies. You will have people that will attack you just for the sake of being a Christian. And if that's not happening, you might want to show it a little bit more. The Bible tells you will be persecuted for your faith. And you have to love those that do this. Now, when we're talking love, we're not talking philios. There's 4 Greek words for love. There's eros, storge, philios, and agape. And in this case, we're talking agape love, which is a Christian love. You can love someone that you're not fond of with agape love. Philios is the love of fondness. Storge is parent to child, and eros is husband and wife. Where it says in the last verse, though, be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. It's maturing your. Jesus is not. He knows that you can't be perfect, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't be your goal. You should strive every day to get closer to that goal. You should be more perfect today than you were yesterday. You should be more perfect tomorrow than you are today, and that's what it's getting at. It's not talking about expecting true perfection of you while you're here on earth, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't be the goal. And really, like I said, this one here is pretty straightforward. It's easy to love only those that are good to you, only those that you like, only those that are your friends. Being a Christian is nothing about the easy path. We have to love our enemies. We have to be good to those and honorable to those that are not good to us. We have to show them agape love. We have to remember we're ambassadors for Christ. As always, do all the notifications, share this with your friends and all that. Most of all, pray for our ministry, and thank you. We'll see you next time.